People are fleeing Howard Springs. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of Realpolitik. Let's have a look at this article from Yahoo News discussing people fleeing from Howard Springs. So, 3 escapees scale the fence at the Northern Territory quarantine facility. Now, there have been a lot of hoopla and people spreading fear about these facilities. A lot of people concerned that these are camps. It's been here for some time, everyone, and we've actually looked at it in a previous video, and I'll point to it right now, and we'll link to it at the end of this video. Check this one out, Australia's COVID-19 camps. Look at the quarantine facilities that we've got and that what we're building. This is a smarter alternative to sticking people in hotels and wondering why it doesn't bloody work, okay? This is the same people complaining about the failure of the hotel system will also complain about this. What would you rather, be stuck in a air-conditioned box with some numbskull security guard giving you food in a tiny little room, or in a mining camp quality facility where you've got outdoor space, where you actually get outdoors, where you can use the internet, where you get access to food? What would you rather, guys? And we'll look at the reason why they're taking people to these facilities in the Northern Territory, because you need to realize in some of these remote communities, it's not the same type of living arrangements as contemporary city dwellers, guys. This is a little different. It's a different culture. It's a different number of people living in these houses. It's just ludicrous. We've designed proposals to put housing out in these areas, and you've got to take account for all the cousins and guests and people visiting, and then you've got flow paths and travel, and it's a nightmare. You have up to 30 people in a little house. So, people are searching for 3 escapees who absconded from a COVID quarantine facility in the Northern Territory in a dramatic early morning dash. They could make a movie. Who gets the movie rights if you break out of a place like this? Do you own the movie rights? A police operation remains underway near the Centre for National Resilience, south of Darwin, on Wednesday morning. 3 people from the Centre for National Resilience, scaled the fence and fled the area at about 4:40 this morning, a police spokesperson confirmed to Yahoo News Australia. Police are at the Howard Springs facility searching the area, declared on Facebook at 9:30 that a police operation is underway. Howard Springs is a large open-air facility that is currently being used to quarantine Australians returning from overseas. It also houses a number of residents from Katherine and surrounding areas, where an outbreak of COVID-19 erupted last month. As of Tuesday, there were 58 cases of COVID-19 in the Northern Territory. Earlier this week, a man in his 30s at Howard Springs was diagnosed with the new Omicron variant of COVID-19. So that tells us it's already everywhere. So don't worry about it. There you go. I mean, they're freaking out about, probably because they just discovered the variant, but it's already been all over the world. It arrived in Darwin on a repatriation flight from South Africa last week, and his positive virus result was confirmed on Friday. Currently, international arrivals on repatriation flights are required to quarantine at Howard Springs for 14 days. Travellers who arrive on standard international flights into Darwin Airport are permitted to quarantine for 7 days at their home or other suitable location. So I thought we'd have a look at this Twitter post shared by Luke Ellis. Because there's a lot of people that are really trying to milk what's happening in Northern Territory, for a racist attack, and just trying to milk it out of fear. So let's have a look at what he has to say. So, don't know who will see this, but as I've got plenty of time on my hands, I thought I might as well counterbalance all the misinformation out there. I'm Indigenous, currently COVID positive, and am currently staying at the Howard Springs quarantine facility. So, the camp is not used to drag away black mob. In fact, this camp has been used for months and has had hundreds of non-Indigenous people come through it in the exact same process for months. Indigenous people have been lucky so far, but our luck has run out. Well, this is the thing. You've got a lot of the Aboriginal people have a high level of comorbidity risk, particularly in the rural communities. The diets that... Here's the thing, in the country, a lot of the diet people eat, a lot of the food they get is just utter garbage. It really is. And, you've got people that, living in far remote parts of Australia, they're eating all this processed crap because it's the only stuff they can truck out there. There was a documentary I watched where they took a group of indigenous Australians and they went and got them eating the traditional way, you know, going fishing and eating, you know, witchetty grubs, all of this stuff. And, you know, within 2 weeks, the insulin requirements they needed were down. One person was even offered entirely. It just shows you, you know. I think that's the curse we've brought upon this land more than anything is the Western diet. So the camp facilities are pretty good. The food is amazing, but I've lost taste now. Well, that kind of sucks. Wi-Fi is free. Everyone has access to their phones and are in contact with family on the outside. I'm sure my family is sick of me calling all the time. I came up on Thursday night. When I was transported, I was taken to the airport in an ambulance and taken up in a small plane. It was obvious to me at the time that this process wouldn't work as case numbers increased, that help would be needed. Catherine and Lbry and Rockall are 15 kilometres from a RAF base, Tyndall. The RAF always helps out in crisis times, including floods and cyclones. The Army isn't going into communities with soldiers and guns. The Air Force is helping out with trucks, drivers, and freeing up the police checkpoints and shit. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We're paying all this money for these bloody military personnel. You want them driving trucks, don't you? The reason that people are being moved from Lbry is that overcrowding is a huge issue in Lbry and Rockall. Isolating at home is not feasible when 20 to 30 people live in one home. 20 to 30 people. Okay? I have a big household. I'm an inner city, suburban, you know, normal Australian, as normal as a German descent Australian can be, with 6 children, a wife, a father-in-law, and a sister-in-law, all in the one household. Now, we're a big household. We're not as big as what they have in some of those communities, guys. It would be impossible to isolate. Could you imagine? 30 people in a little house? We're not talking mansions out there, guys. It's also hard to lock down a single community. It's not unknown for people from Lbry and Rockall to walk into Catherine. Lbry and Rockall are separated by an easily crossable part of the Catherine River. I was part of the health team that did vaccination drives at Rockall and Lbry in the past. I've walked to every house in Rockall fighting camp dogs along the way to talk to people about the vaccine. In the past, people have been hesitant about getting the vaccine. Well, here's the thing. We've had hardly any COVID in Australia. In all honesty, we've had more impact by the government's response than actually to COVID. By the lockdowns, the border closures, the check-in apps, that's caused more issues and disruptions to our life than COVID has. So I can understand why people thinking, what's the point? It's not here. We don't need to worry about it. That's a city problem. People have been hesitant because of misinformation. But in all my time doing vaccines in the community, not a single person was forced to have it. We respected people's wishes to decline, even though we knew that this could potentially bring disaster. What we've found, though, is that people who declined in the past often want the vaccine once they discovered COVID is in their community. We've had an increase in vax rates among all people in the community during the past lockdowns. Once COVID becomes real and tangible, it changes people's perception of the vaccine, or the need for it. Not everything is perfect. There are legit issues and causes for concerns about the way things are unfolding, but they are being drowned out by the crazies who are using this situation to fuel their own agenda. If there were soldiers with guns holding people down and forcing jabs, we would have seen pictures or videos of it by now. There's millions of vids of heaps of stuff that happen in indigenous communities, both good and bad. I've seen 100 community brawls on cell phone footages. Yeah, that's kind of sad. For example, to think no one would film all these soldiers and guns holding down people is pure fantasy. Comparing it to genocide and shit is disgusting. There's thousands of indigenous people in Catherine alone. Only 200 odd are in Howard Springs. If that's genocide, then it's a pretty shit plan. Oh, bloody hell. That's the Aussie response to this. My grandmother was stolen generation. To compare what I'm going through in this camp to what she and her generation went through is disgusting. I'm in a nice room with my own aircon. Oh yeah, they got aircon. I've worked on projects similar to this. They're like mining tongers, guys. They're pretty damn spoiled with the facilities you get there. I don't even have aircon. I've been watching Netflix on free Wi-Fi. I had barra with garlic and broccoli for dinner. Shit. I'm in constant contact with loved ones. Any comparison to stolen generation is spitting on what those poor souls went through in those days. I've caught COVID being on the front line helping my people. To see them call the people on the ground evil is disgusting. People on the ground are working themselves to a standstill in 40-degree heat. Oh, yeah. In PPE that multiplies the heat. I've worked in that PPE, in that heat, for an hour, and you collect about a water of sweat in it. These people are working multiple hour shifts. So there is a bit of insight from someone actually on the ground there. So the people fleeing, what do you reckon? Bunch of nutters? I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I mean, here's the thing. Recently we had our very own medical issue where, Rachel rang up 13 Health for Edward and they called an ambulance. They said, we're deciding he needs an ambulance, take him in the hospital, put him in there. She stayed with him for days. What's she going to do? Take and flee to be scared? No, you're going to use, like a sensible person, use the health facilities provided. Here's the thing. You've got to watch for people taking advantage of situations like this to push a political and ideological agenda. What do you reckon, everyone? Check out my other video where we discuss and look at the actual facilities that people are being taken to. Would you rather that these facilities are used and people are allowed to isolate there, or they try and isolate in remote communities with insane overcrowding? What do you think would happen then? Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.